Yo, what's going on, guys? I didn't think I was going to record today, but we got a few calls. I just got through with a make line, which is like a prep cooler. These are for pizza places. They have 3 different evaporators. There's a cold rail, there's a cabinet area, and then like where the food drops, that area gets cold too. It's another cold rail. So we got 1 compressor for 3 evaporators. I went to go check it out. I've fixed it before, and somebody else had told me, because another guy went by, one of our guys right before I went, and he said it looked like beyond repair. So when I got there, somebody smashed in that condenser again. I don't know if it's the guys there pressure washing. I don't know what they're doing, kicking it. I can't tell you what it is, because I found it like that a couple years ago, and I managed to fix it. I took the time to bend all the fins out, and I thought I did a pretty good job, and it had been working really good since then. So now we get called out to check it again, and I really tried again, but it was working, so I got the temperature to drop better. We made some adjustments. I did drop in a very small amount of refrigerant just so that everything would ice up properly, but it might have a leak. I don't have my leak detector today, but even if it does have a leak, I'm not able to put any more. It takes 404. I'm not able to put any more in there because it started to overheat, and it wasn't frosting the way it should if I added like even an ounce more. So left it to where it was best put. I mean, the other thing I could do is take it out and weigh it in just in case we did have a leak. I don't know what's going on. The pressures were kind of low on the high side, but we did what we could with that one. Now I got another cold well to check, and after that it's Friday afternoon. I'm trying to finish, but I have another call after that. These all came in late afternoon for a reach-in cooler as well. All right, so this is an axial fan. So yeah, they said they smelled something burnt. This thing is all messed up. I'm gonna go see if our Johnstone has it. I told her it seems, from what I remember, because we don't deal with these a lot, I was like, I feel like I've seen them on the shelf. I wasn't able to find anything when I looked on the app from this long ass model number, and it doesn't tell me anything else. It just tells me that it's 120 volts and the amperage. There's no RPMs or anything on this. I could do a Google search, which I did throw it in Google, but I haven't really looked through it because I'm super close to the supply house. I'll just have them try and match it up, All right, so I'm gonna trust the counter. Like I said, I really don't do these. We got this here, which all these really matter. They don't really give you much information. All that really matters is that the airflow, or it takes out air. So the blades are different. I don't know if the RPM is the same or different. Like I said, I could do a Google search and find out that way. This is long as it mounts, which, yeah, it's more like a universal mount. So on that one, yeah, it'll mount really well. So it's just a 115 motor, airflow coming out of the condenser, and it's basically the same. And you can see this one spins freely, and this one does not. So that's all it is. We'll put it in. It's an old system. It's a small cold well. As long as we reject heat, get heat out off of that condenser, there's not much to it. Yeah, cold well, cold rail, whatever you want to call it, just where they drop their veggies and condiments and stuff. And I don't think this one has a fan, or if it does, it's a really small one. They're all different. These are very, brand to brand and model to model. They're all different. Some of them is just a cold rail, a cold wall, a cold well, whatever you want to call it. Like the last one that I did where I was talking about the pizza shop, it's the same concept, but only the wall will ice up and build up frost and act like an ice chest. And then some of them actually have a fan where it circulates air underneath all the condiments, like the little pans or whatever they're called. They look like little buckets. They're metal, and it keeps everything cold. So we're gonna go put the motor in really quick, and then hopefully everything works. I'm gonna clean that coil because it's super dirty. Might have been one of the reasons why it gave out. And then we'll move on to the next job. So like I said, this is Friday afternoon. All these calls came in, and then this is Labor Day weekend. So I would like to get everything done today, even though it sucks that I got to work late today, but it is what it is. All right, sorry guys, it's probably gonna be really windy. So the guy tried to sell me a plug for this, which I'm gonna end up ripping up or splicing into anyway, so I passed on the plug. So you can see the old one just has it mounted there. Yeah, the old one just had connection points inside, and then it's hardwired out. The new one has plugs to where even on a small connector, it's not gonna fit. It's super loose. So we're gonna have to make our own, which is fine. Let's see if we can. And that'll work. Just gonna squeeze them. So I'm gonna take a couple and do that to them. Just squeeze them in on the sides and squeeze them down so they clamp better on the connector. And then we're just gonna use some wire here. As long as I give myself slack, I'm fine. I'm gonna bend the strands over just in case, and then kind of double crimp them. Make sure you pull on them. And on the other side, we're going to splice them in as well. I want to make these extra long so I can fold them over. Yeah, I do. We're going to use Hvacr clips. Just to make our life easier, get in and out. That one's still loose. And that one did really well. I don't have this tight enough. Oh, you know what it is? I don't have it. There we go. All right, we're in business. Mounts. I got to mount it upside down. Here, splice in the other wires, and we'll be good. All right, little modification, we got it in there. It was basically like a replacement universal type motor, and I just had to flip it upside down because the connection, it didn't give me enough slack. So when I cut the old motor out, if you know you're not going to use it, if it's bad or whatever it is, and it has a plug of some sort or a special connection to it, or it's wired in like this one was internally, cut it as close as you can to the motor, a reasonable length, right? That way I had slack with whatever was there. It wasn't much, but I had some slack, so I could wire in the new motor. I knew I was not gonna wire it back to where it went in the box, because it went to the, basically this motor went to a little junction box that had also the incoming voltage, and I think the compressor was plugged in there too. No plugs. I prefer when they use like actual outlets and plugs. Everything was just straight in there. And then from there I went to another junction box, which is your incoming voltage. I went to the breaker, and I don't want to say that I did it live. I did have an off switch at the unit, like an on and off switch. So I turned it off there. Obviously that'll kill power to the compressor and the motor, but I still have live voltage if I were digging around into that junction box. So I didn't want to be doing that. I just turned it off. I replaced the motor because I knew I had no voltage. It wasn't going to come on any other way without that switch. Always just double check with your meter. And we put it in that way. And then I used wire connectors that I pinched so that it would fit, because it had the thinnest little like blades as my pins. I had no connector that would have worked there, so just pinched the connectors, kind of molded them, made them a little bit tighter and thinner overall, and they plugged in fine. Make sure you pull, and as long as they don't come off or slide off easily, you're good. So got it in, mounted it there. The Hvacr clips helped a lot there, because I could just put them in and close the levers instead of trying to like twist up some wire nuts or try to crimp some connections, like crimp connectors or those butt connectors, those straight connectors. Those are all going to be crimped in. And then the only issue with that, which wouldn't have been a big deal here, but if you're splicing, sometimes you want something you can remove. So I do like using wire nuts a lot, but those Hvacr clips have been really cool to use lately. So all that went in, and then I just cleaned the coil, put everything back together. I turned it on and off just to make sure the fan came on, and it worked fine. It's going to reject heat. It already started frosting. These are pretty simple. There's not a lot to it. There's nothing really for me to check. As long as it was working before, then I'm going to trust that it's working now. The motor just gave out, so I need to sign out with my phone, but we're going to head out now to the reach-in cooler. That it is 5 o'clock, and I just really want to get out, but I need to get this done before the weekend. simple enough. I actually got called out to that location, I want to say 2 weeks ago, for another true prep cooler that had the same exact issue. So the way I go about those, because I've seen them so much, I used to work on nothing but those kinds of true low boys, or whatever you want to call them. Essentially, you get there, if the compressor and the condenser fan motor are both off, then you have just no power going out to the condensing unit, right? If your condenser fan is on, but your compressor's not coming on, then you got a problem, right? You got an overheated, tripped out an overload compressor. You got a compressor that's locked up. You got something wrong with your compressor. It could be like starting components on a small system like that. And for that, you just throw a 3-in-1. I have one as a emergency type of deal. Sometimes I'll leave them in if the customer just wants that. But that's a little jump start to replace the starting components. But like I said, if both are off, then it's just no power, right? So then the main thing that controls it all, as long as you have power at the outlet, is that temp controller. And all it is 2 wires. It's just a contact point, and it's a switch. I always tell people everything switches. So this one's controlled by temperature, but it's just a switch. So if you turn it on and turn it off, that it's just contacts inside. So the way I go about it is I unplug it, I pull out the controller, I put the 2 wires together somehow. You can wire nut them together. I like to leave the connectors on there if I'm gonna just go in there with a replacement, keep the same connectors. So I'll use those little connectors that allow you to put 2 on 1, and I just put 2 to 1. Or I can leave it hanging if I know it's not going to touch any metal, and I'll go and plug it in and make sure everything comes on. If everything comes on, then I just go on to replacing the temp controller, which, lucky enough, I bought one right before I went over there, because I was like, what if it's the same thing? And last time I actually had a true one last time that I used for them. And then today I bought the Ranco. That's a specific one that I use. These do allow you to make it colder if you needed to, because it says it's a constant cut-in of 37, but if you're gonna wait there and have it cycle on and off, these Ranco ones on the very bottom have these two little screws, and if you read the instructions, one is to adjust, I think it's adjusting the cutout. It adjusts something. And then the other one is an altitude set screw. And what that one is basically is, it depends on your altitude wherever you are in the world. But what I use it for, because in the instructions it says that it'll adjust cut-in and cut-out basically together. So what I use it for is if my cut-in and cut-out are both way too high, I'll move the altitude adjustment that way, and it tells you how to do it. I just forget how. So just read the instructions. But if I need to bring them both down, then I just move the altitude one, and it'll help me fix that scenario. And if not, if it's just a cut in or cut out, whatever it is, you can move the other adjustment screw and tweak it to your liking. If you get like a true original OEM, or try to use any of those for a different unit that you don't have, those are set to work on whatever it's set to. These are adjustable. That's why I do like them. So they're happy. That's the one that I did the R12 change out. I have a video on that. And then, like I said, I've done 2 of their true low boys, and he wants me to get some prices to fix the doors and stuff. So pretty good customer. They've been happy. And that's one that they called us in because they found us online or something, because they wanted to use somebody else. So appreciate all the work that we can get. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. That was just a quick day in the life. I'm getting out at 6:30. We'll see how it goes. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys.
Always had a way to make it work and find another route.